Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to episode number 9 of Psychology Talks. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to turn your negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Thoughts are one of the major aspects of our life. Like our mind can make us or break us. If we are not able to channel our thoughts in positive way, it could lead us to disaster and a miserable life. So it's very important to gain control or be aware of our thoughts and channel it in a productive way. It's a general tendency of having negative thoughts first because God has made us in a way that our mind try to protect our well-being. So whenever we try to go in an unknown area, our mind creates a warning sign, and then that's how we get the negative thoughts because it's a natural way to protect our well-being. But what happens is when our mind associate a simply non-threatening object or non-threatening situation to and consider it as a dangerous situation, so these negative thoughts try to prevent us from going into that direction. So here it is important to realize that whenever we see things, we need to see that are these legitimately dangerous, or is it just our perception of the event or the object and we are perceiving it as a dangerous. And today's guest is an expert on this topic, and he's authored a book on the same topic. And our guest is Neeloy Roy Chaudhary. Like millions of people around the world, Neeloy only had the riches of experience, learning negative and positive emotion, and restarting and rebooting. He launched his first book in July 2021, and the name of the book is Bet You Won't Read This. It is all about embracing negative thoughts and emotion and turn it to positive one. And this book gives you a different perspective that how negative thoughts can become your strength and how you can make it into positive way, how you can use it in a positive way. Niloy is high-tech sales and alliance business development executive by profession, and but his passion is to help people around and to help dealing with life challenges and help and spread kindness around. And he's by profession he's a mechanical engineer, and he's done MBA, but he's spending more than 2 decades in sales and marketing and business development. So he has the mix of experience from the sales, IT, and he knows how to channel thoughts and use it to mental health, and he's promoting that. So let's welcome Niloy. Hello, Niloy. Welcome to the Psychology Talks. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you.
Hello, good evening, Ambreen. It's an honor for me to be here. I follow your show very ardently. I've seen the kind of guests you have, and it's really an honor and privilege for me to join you this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And a lot of people have joined from the different, uh, like across the globe. Maria is there. She's saying hello, everyone. Zara is here. Hi, Zara. Thank you for joining.
Hello.
And thank you all of the audience for joining today. So, before we move on to our discussion, I have given a little bit of introduction about you, but tell us in brief that about yourself, that how you started your career. As we see that you're basically a mechanical engineer, and you have the experience of sale and IT, but then you move to towards mental health and helping people around. So, what made you move to that direction? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so it's a pretty good observation. So I was a regular shy kid. I had my rebellious days, a rebel without a cause. I was very happy-go-lucky, and I felt like the the journey is more important than the destination. And I went along with the flow of life. So I think I had a good base, but because of some bad luck, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and some circumstances, I had to restart and reboot my life several times, right? And in fact, if I were to compare myself to my peers in terms of maybe career, in terms of wealth, I don't stand anywhere. But what I have and what no one can take away from me are the experiences, are the ups and downs, are the ability to deal with challenges and do that every time. So I believe I'm not that bad compared to my peers. And I think what has happened to me over the due course of time is that, in terms of expectations, I've toned down my expectations. I've been able to bounce from every situation. Earlier, I had this thing that why does this always happen to me? Maybe I'm cursed. Maybe I have some bad luck and all that. But what I saw was that if God closes some doors, He opens 10 more. You just have to get out of that I myself, the victim syndrome, and use that. And I think along with possessions, along with wealth, what you can give back to the as a legacy to your children are mental resilience as well. Although I'm not sure whether scientifically it's been proven or not, but your mental toughness also your children can inherit it, and of course with the tough times of today, they need it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's we have seen most of the time that people, when actually they face failure or challenges, they tend to lose hope and they tend to give up on that. And that's the major thing that they need to find out, that like no matter what circumstances they face, no matter how much suffering they face, when we give meaning to the suffering, that suffering become our strength. So that's the only thing that we need to find out, that how we can actually change it. So moving on to the topic, the discussion today. As you said, and you've written the book also about it, that how we can convert these thoughts, negative thoughts, into positive one. So as I even mentioned earlier, when I was giving the introduction, that basically our mind is designed in a way that it actually creates a red flag before wherever we are trying to go into the unknown situation, or in a situation which we feel a bit threatening. So it's natural to have negative thoughts, right? As it creates it makes us, it gives us a warning sign to be aware of a danger ahead.
Sure.
So what are the ways we can actually change these negative thoughts into positive one, and make it and use it as our strength?
Sure. So I think first and foremost, Ambreen, negative is a part of our life. Positive, negative are all parts of the two sides of the same coin. We have day and night, we have dawn and dusk, we have light and dark. So I think one has to accept negativity as a part of life, right? The other thing that I've firmly seen is that negativity or negative thoughts, it's like a fever. It's a symptom, okay? And a symptom indicates that there is a cause. So you
Absolutely.
might have fever because of certain reasons like malaria or dengue or COVID or something like that. Unless you discover the reasons, okay, so that the negativity itself shows that there is something wrong and which you need to address. Okay, so that is the first and foremost thing that I think we need to really understand. And the second thing is that what is positive for us or what is negative positive for someone is maybe negative for us. It's all very relative.
Very
So one
true.
example is that you're working in a company, and if your friend or a colleague gets a promotion, his positive becomes your negative. So there are always two
Yeah,
sides of the same coin. Similarly, a lottery as well.
yeah.
Unfortunately, for most people, if you actually look at 10 incidents in your life, there would be eight which would be negative and two which would be positive, right? And worst is the positive feelings last for one night or one day. The
Okay.
negative one keeps on lingering on. So that is,
Yes.
I think, the beauty of it. But if you see, Amreen, negativity is not bad.
Yeah.
Negativity means that there is something that you need to change. We all talk about comfort zone, moving out of the comfort zone. What is that? It's bringing on that pain of getting out, changing something. Okay, and or the other thing is that if you want to move out of a relationship, or if you want to change your job, the
Yeah.
best thing to do is remember the humiliation, the pain, and then you move on or let it go.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would like to say, and I think all of us have seen it, is negativity unites us in a big way.
Yes.
Just look at COVID.
Yeah.
People who did not know each other, we would help. And
Yeah.
the other day I was donating blood in a hospital. Okay, I saw a couple of people fighting for parking. And
Yeah.
the same people inside, one of them was donating blood for the other. He didn't even know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
negativity
true.
brings out the best in
Yeah.
us as well. Okay.
Yeah.
The sad part is that why can't we be like this in normal life? Why does it always have to be in a negative situation that it brings out the best in humanity?
Yeah.
Taking another, maybe a not such a big example, if you look at working out or exercising, the moment you hit the pain, that is when the transformation happens. With our
Yeah.
children, the moment you say that I bet you can't do this, they will go ahead
Yeah.
and do it. You might be
Uh,
pleading, begging, but it doesn't work.
yeah. Very true. Yeah, yeah. Basically, it challenges us. It when you take it as a challenge, it becomes something that we want to prove ourselves, and that's how
Exactly.
we actually take it as a positive way. And one thing I would like to highlight also that basically, as you said, that negativity is actually the part of life. It's part of, like, it's just like the part of the coin. Two sides of the coin. So the thing is that we can never avoid negativity, and we can never avoid failures, we can never avoid mistakes. And the thing is, and definitely every mistake, every failure comes with certain pain. Of course, it's like whenever we step on something bad happens, and we do feel bad about it, we do have some guilt around it, we do have some shame around it. But the thing is that we need to be aware of, as you mentioned very beautifully, that there is a reason behind everything. So unless we don't know the reason, we keep lingering on in that emotion. We keep lingering on and dwelling in that moment. And that is the thing that, as you mentioned, that the negative thoughts keep on coming on, and then keep on, because the thing is that when we face the negativity, we feel shame of this, we feel guilt, and then we try to avoid it. But the thing is, the more we try to avoid it, it become part of it. So the more we
Exactly.
resist, the more it persists.
Or you
So
say, absolutely.
the thing is that we need to be aware of what's going on in our mind. And according to the study, mostly like around 6,000 thoughts we have in an hour or so. So, and the 80% of the thoughts are negative.
Exactly.
And just imagine that how much energy we waste on thinking about the negative thoughts or something. So when we actually realize that what's going on in our mind, only then we take charge of our thoughts and then channel it into positivity. So, and as you said, that these negativity always mm, leads us to the positive direction.
Exactly.
So, can you give any uh, tips that how we can actually channel it, and how we can, maybe some tips, or maybe some exercise, or physically we can do it, or like how we can actually channel these thoughts, negative thoughts, into positive direction?
Sure. So I think I'll come to the physical part of it first. So first of all, Ambreen, I think we should acknowledge, right?
Yeah,
It's okay not to feel okay.
yeah, that's
There's
true.
absolutely no problem in that. And as I was mentioning, out of 100 thoughts, 80 thoughts are negative.
Yeah,
So we should acknowledge it. No point in having self pity. It's there for a reason. Okay.
yeah,
And if there's still ambiguity, just look around and see how lucky you are. My favorite footballer of all time is Zinedine Zidane. Okay, so he once very beautifully said, I think he was begging his father to give him a new pair of shoes, and then he went out and then he saw a person with no feet, and that day he said that I'm very lucky, I'm rich.
yeah,
Okay, I at least I have my feet. Okay,
yeah,
so that is something that I think it holds true for everything. If you feel self pity, go look around you, and then you see how lucky you are. Okay. And of course, next is after you've acknowledged, you need to absorb and assimilate the negativity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let it sink in. What can go wrong? It happens to us every day. Think about the last time you came out of such a situation. You can do
Yeah.
that again and again and again. What is the worst that can happen? Once you really replay the worst, that is the
Yeah.
time then you don't really fear it. Then the
Absolutely.
next thing that I'd like to do is that analyze it. You have to
Yeah.
analyze the negative emotion. Why is it happening? See, there are just two scenarios. One is some things which are beyond our control, and the other is which are within our control.
Yeah.
So some things which are beyond our control, just adjust, accept, and bounce. I like to talk a
Yeah.
lot about bounce in my
Yeah.
on my LinkedIn and all that. So
Yeah.
bounce is nothing but B. B stands for blues. It's all
Mhm.
right to feel pathetic. O is overcome. You overcome the feeling of failure. Replay all those wins that you've had in the past.
Mhm.
Understand why you failed, so that you learn those lessons and don't repeat them.
Yeah.
Nonchalant. There's no problem. We are resilient. We can do that again and again. C is
Mhm.
confidence. No one, nothing should take away your self confidence. We've all done that before. And you need to emerge, have faith in God, thank Him for the blessing that He's given, and move on with life. So, things that you can't control, you bounce, and things that you can control, act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, I
So, if
mean,
you,
very well
yeah.
said. Yeah.
So if you
Sorry.
act, if
Yeah.
you act, I've actually mentioned this in my book.
Mhm.
There's a particular formula. I quite like all these formulas and models. I mean, three, four-letter models. I call
Mhm.
this the 3P model:
Okay.
peruse, project, and plant. If you
Okay.
peruse your negative emotion, just for example, like you want to embrace the pain and work out,
Mhm.
that's called
Mhm.
perusing. If you project stupidity or helplessness, you might
Yeah.
find some extra, camaraderie or extra help. And
Mhm.
last is plant. If you're
Mhm.
planting a challenge in someone, that person will go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So if you act, then you can actually transform the negative emotion into a positive outcome. One example is helplessness. Helplessness can translate into extra tension. The other thing is, if you want to create sympathy for someone, just hate that person, spread hatred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the other thing is that if you want to ridicule someone, if you want a spirit of teamwork, I don't know whether you've seen this movie called Chak De. It's a very famous Hindi movie. The coach of the Indian women's hockey team was trying to build the team. The team was comprising of people from different states. He could not find the way. He found the way. Why? He inculcated a spirit of hatred towards him. Everyone hated him, and that united the team. So
Oh.
it was a negative emotion that united.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a amazing perspective actually. The way basically we can use the negative emotion to spark, the positive emotion in that. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, of course, everybody talks about that. We can turn it to the we can start looking at the positive thoughts and this and this. But the thing is that what is important is that you know trying to find out the positive way we can use these
Yeah,
negative emotions. And as I always say that actually there is no negative emotion. I just
exactly.
because the thing is that all these emotions are there and they are there to serve certain purpose. For example, if we feel the jealousy, we need to make use of it. I mean, we are aware
Exactly.
that okay, we are feeling loved, maybe that's why we are feeling jealousy of that, and rather than dwelling in the jealousy, we need to focus more on the love part, that okay,
Exactly.
this is we
Exactly.
are feeling jealousy because we want to love that person, and that's why maybe this is similarly, like you given the excellent example of that, the hate, if that coach created the hatred about themselves, and that created the
Mm.
unity among the entire team, which is definitely amazing. I mean, literally, and that's what I would here also want to talk about. Basically, it's long time back, the founder of the CBT, the cognitive behavior therapy, Dr. Aaron Beck actually said that these uh, thoughts are like are ants, and he refer ant means like automatic negative thoughts.
True.
because whenever we actually go into the new situation, the thoughts invade us like ant, and we cannot actually fight with like the entire big bulk of ants. We cannot fight them, although they are very small, but once they invade us, we cannot. So we need to try to, how we do this, we need to turn these ants, we have to deal with ants by petting them. Like, we have to pet them. Pet means like positive, empowering thought. We need to turn these, and you have actually said this, like the same thing in your 3P model, that how we convert these ants into positive ones by pet them. Like, you have to change them into positive, empowered thoughts. So that's really
In
amazing.
fact, Ambreen, there's one more example I like to talk about: fear. I
Yeah.
like to say that I'm fearful. Okay. And it's not a negative emotion. It is a negative emotion if you actually see it. But what does fear do? It helps me being more cautious. It helps me to have a backup plan. It
Yeah.
helps me to weigh things.
Yeah.
So I can channelize this in a positive way. One is that you can cower and you cannot do anything. Second is that you can address your fear by eliminating it to a large extent.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Same is like, for example, if it's very common to have anxiety, especially like if person is having a job interview next day, and the person feels so much anxious. It's like, if you keep thinking, if you keep worrying about the job interview, it's gonna eat you, and you will do pathetic in during that interview. But we can channel the same anxiety by preparing as well, and we try
Exactly.
to do the research, and that's use the, because these, as I said, that these emotions give us some energy to use, or because these are the emotions that are there to prevent us from the danger. So they are there for the purpose. So when we use the energy to prepare us to deal with the situation, we become a winner. So that's very simple logic behind it. So one example I would also like to give here, about I was reading somewhere about the Jose Salvador. It was the person who survived the shipwreck, but he survived. He was there in the sea for 1.5 year.
Yes.
The thing is, yeah, he said that he almost given up, and there was like so much danger. And as you mentioned about the resilience in the beginning, so he was traveling somewhere, and the ship, of course, due to the storm, the ship was wrecked, and he was on the boat. And the storm was there for 5 days, and then when he was trying to find out, search for the any other soul who could have survived, and there was no one there. And he was like stranded in the middle of the sea. There was no hope, and it's like said, oh my god, where is it? But the thing is that what made him survive during like 1.5 year, like almost like 438 days he survived
Exactly.
it. So something that he said, that there was so much fear, there was so much hopelessness, there was nothing there. But the thing is that he knew that one day he could touch the shore. He had some hope. These
Oh,
he
exactly.
was he was fearful. Of course, there were a lot of time, they were like, there were storms in the sea, there were sharks attack. But the
Yes.
thing is, the fear was there, but he channeled it in a way to make it a strength, and which give him a power to survive during that. Just imagine 1.5 year alone in the sea. There was nothing there, but he survived. And that was the, like, we need to learn the lesson from all these inspirational stories, because
Exactly.
when the other person can do it, so can you. So I think that's again the best way to learn that how other people have survived during adversities, during challenges. So one
And
thing,
Abreed, if you actually, this is a very inspirational example,
yeah,
and of course, it requires a certain amount of grit and resilience. Even
absolutely,
I'm again coming back to the COVID times. If you see the job losses and you see the kind of alternate careers people are doing now, it's
yeah,
because of job losses. So
yeah,
one is that you could cry and you can say that why have I been laid off? People are going back to their old passions. They're picking up new jobs, new careers. They're turning it around. It's a
Yeah.
very good example. So they have actually taken the negativity of a job loss or a layoff, and
Yeah.
they're building wonderful new careers which they wouldn't have done if
Yeah.
it were not for COVID.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Even like there are lots of industries that are booming. Of course, there are lots of
Exactly.
industries they have gone down, but the thing is, they have learned to survive. I mean, the way they have transferred in a year, it was sort of a, like, turbocharger sort of. Uh, Each and every business have adopted so well to this, like the way they have been move themselves from like no digital experience to the completely digitally or
Transform.
completely they move to the, yeah, transform and to move to the digital platform. So it's amazing, the transformation has been, as was like we can see the acceleration pace was much higher. And as you
Exactly.
mentioned that it was all because of the setback or the when we see the challenging time, the adversity, then it is the time that we realize that, I think this is the time to move on, and we need to change or something.
Exactly.
Okay, one thing that I also want to, discuss. We have talked a lot about negative things, and of course it does. But there are certain like people who usually say that, positive, especially, we can't be positive all the time. It's have to be. So what do you think, why positivity is important? Of course we talk about a lot of negativity, and then we need to move to the positivity, but why, like sometimes we say that, you cannot just be positive all the time. So how it actually helps us in daily life to be positive?
See, that's a very good question. So, despite all the negativity, in our heart of hearts, we should be positive.
Yeah.
And like to feel again. I personally feel that the journey is more important than the destination.
Yeah.
We are trying to live for better outcomes for ourselves, for our children, for materialistic things, for spiritual things, to inspire others. And you actually can't do that if you don't have a positive mind, if not for ourselves, for our loved ones, for others. And positive feelings make the success all sweeter. You could achieve success by devious means, but you'll be alone, and you
Yeah.
can't look at yourself in the mirror. So the positivity is something that makes the journey beautiful. It's like going up a mountain, reaching the peak, and enjoying the lovely view, the
Yeah.
valleys, the orchards, and all
Yeah.
that on the way. The
Yeah.
other thing that I'd like to say is that, see, all of us have 4 or 5 major goals in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we look at finding happiness with a positive mind in more day to day things? Why do we search happiness?
Yeah.
Why can't we pick happiness from the day to day things that are coming? So
Yeah.
let's have more smaller moments with a positive mindset and
Yeah.
allow positive thoughts to absorb our happiness. The
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
thing that I'd like to mention is that positive thoughts which always help us to define our morals and values. It's always
Yes.
better to lose with honesty in your heart rather than win ugly.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's a beautiful. I mean, this is the crux. I mean, I would say that I just loved it, and that these positive thoughts actually, yes, define our moral values. And I would say that, this positivity doesn't mean that, we have to be positive all the time. And a lot of people actually argue that positive means that we have to be positive in all situations. It doesn't. I mean, it's not like that. You cannot turn blind to if the circumstances are negative. The thing is, as we mentioned earlier, that we need to accept, we need to live in all the negative. For example, if everything is going wrong against us, we do have certain times that, when we try our hard and nothing works out, you
Exactly.
know but the thing is, staying there, staying in such situation, having a positive mindset, that means living with all the negativity with the positivity, and then that positivity actually turns the entire situation around. Like for example, it's just like if you have the storm around you, you cannot control the storm, but
Exactly.
if you control your inner storm, then you have the power to face that storm, and you go through it smoothly. So I think this is the very important thing, that the positive mindset is important to face the negativity in the life. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So positivity, uh, a touch of realism, and accepting negativity for what it is. And the whole goal is to turn positive ultimately. Don't
Yeah,
shun negativity, don't shun the reality, but
yeah.
use it, accept it, or act upon it to turn into positivity.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Sadia Khan is just saying that, how to, there are times when thinking positive becomes quite difficult, almost impossible. Any suggestion for such situation?
So as I was mentioning, see two or three things that you could do. One is that you could go back and replay. So that's why I'll come to one more aspect. See, we do the reverse a lot. There's a positive situation, we instantly kill it. I call this as a way not to celebrate success. The moment you get something, you instantly compare, or you say, I want 2x more. You've killed it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So any positive success that you have, cherish that feeling, replay it during a bad moment.
yeah,
In a bad moment, you always say that, look, I've done this before, I've come out of worse. I will understand it, I will analyze it, and I will come out of it, or I will accept it. But
yeah,
I've been out of worse earlier, and I can do that again. I think
yeah.
that is something that if you can't do anything else, that feeling will give you a lot of solace.
Yeah, and I would just say that the thing is again just as you mentioned that we need to inculcate gratitude. Like
Exactly.
in the negative times, there's nothing. I mean, of course, there are something that we are always be grateful for. Maybe like there could be like times when we are facing financial crisis and maybe emotional crisis, but there are certain things that you need to be grateful for, and when you try to look at the positive things in the lives, and that is the time when you realize that okay, there's not nothing. I mean, there are things that are positive, there are things that you need to be grateful for. So that is the only way to actually look at the things in a different way. And as Niloy mentioned earlier, that everything is relative. Whatever is negative for you could be positive for someone. Like for example, like your life could be the dream life of someone. So just imagine, like you may be complaining about not having things in life, but there are people who are craving to have that thing. So it's all about how you see things. It's just a matter of changing the perspective, changing the mindset to deal with the negative situation. And thank you,
And I think
Maria.
just one last thing I'd like to say is that I like to say this. I think a lot of people are sick and tired of me saying this again and again. I firmly believe it. You have faith, have
Yeah,
faith in the Almighty. Do your best, and God will do the rest. Don't
yeah.
expect anything. God has a plan for everyone, and if you do your best, He will open the doors. If not today, if certainly tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So we can go on and on, as you know that this is your favorite topic, and of course one of my favorite topic as well. But unfortunately, we are reaching to the end of the show. So I'm gonna just ask you that maybe if what is one thing that you could what advice you would give to our audience today. In the meanwhile, from the audience, that if you have any question, just feel free to ask. So we'll just close our session in 2 or 3 more minutes. Yeah.
Sure. So I think Amrita have beautifully covered it. Stand up for what's right. Try. Worst case, you will fail, but you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Try. You may fail, but you will certainly fail if you don't try. I think that is something that we need to imbibe. The other thing that I've seen is that let's go and revisit our childhood. With
Yeah.
the study from home and all, we've been very close to our children. Imbibe their inquisitive nature, imbibe their unbiased nature.
Yeah.
So that will really help us. And always look for the good in everything. It's
Yeah.
always good to it's always bad to play the victim, but in anything you can find the good and you can imbibe it. And of course, you can always say that you are luckier than others.
Yeah.
For all the pain that we are in, there are millions who are worse off than us. So thank
Absolutely.
God for the life that you have,
Yeah.
and always be grateful.
Yeah, wonderful advice. And thank you so much for enlightening us and for sharing your expertise and your knowledge with our audience. I'm sure they have learned a lot from you. And thank you for giving us time. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Niloy,
Thank you
and
very
thank
much.
all the
Thank you.
audience for who have
Thank you.
joined
Thank you.
us. Yeah. So it's time to say goodbye and have a rest of the day. Have a great rest of the day. So bye bye.
Bye. Good evening, everyone. Bye. Take care. Bye.